Hi, I'm Johnny. Welcome to Johnny Likes, the show where I talk about movies that I like. And it's well into Spooktober already. Time does fly. So, hey, why not? Let's talk about a creepy movie. Today I want to talk about 1989's Parents.
You tell him, Johnny. You tell the world.
Parents is about a young boy named Michael in the 1950s who knows that something isn't quite right with his folks. This movie has a general queasiness to it that's a great tone for a horror movie or a thriller to achieve. It's kind of like feeling nauseous and you just can't quite seem to shake it. You're not quite sick enough to leave work or school, but it makes you uncomfortable the whole day. That's this movie. I first saw this a few years ago and I was surprised by how unsettling it was, and it's lived rent-free in my head ever since. It'll just pop in there every couple of weeks. For me, the creepy part of the movie wasn't the parents' quirk, which I'm not gonna spoil. Instead, it was a combination of the dread-filled score that permeated the film, especially in Michael's disturbing, blood-filled dreams. It was also the feeling of fear and discomfort that Michael seemed to feel in his own home, and the twisted sexual undercurrent throughout. Michael seems out of place in his own home. It's like he's not a full-fledged member of the household. Kind of like he's a foster child in a house where the parents are just doing it for the money. I got the feeling that Michael's father not only didn't like him, but maybe didn't even love him.
There's one dark place that we have to be very careful in.
Michael's mother showed a little bit more warmth, but still came off as quite cold and distant. They don't play it up as much in the film as I thought they maybe should have, but there's also the idea that Michael might be pretty troubled himself. Example, first day at his new school, Michael is asked to tell the class something new.
If you take a black cat and broil it on the oven, and you chew on the bone, you'll be invisible.
Yeah, big red flag, right? Everyone in the class, teacher included, seems to think so, except for Sheila, who is the other new kid in class. I think her and Michael are supposed to be in the same grade, but she's like a foot taller, so she seems quite a bit older. She has a rebellious streak and is an outsider just like Michael, and they become fast friends and are curious about each other in more ways than one. At one point in the film, Sheila is sitting in a tree branch, and Michael is looking up her skirt while she's talking to him. He doesn't really see anything, but he's still looking. Sheila then barges into Michael's house and proceeds to become a whirlwind of trouble, basically, which culminates in her hiding in the deep freeze, which Michael is forbidden to look in or even kind of be around. And when he finally finds her in there, she says that the only way she's going to get out is if he takes off his shirt. And he does, and she starts splashing him with wine, and thankfully Michael's dad interrupts. This is the type of traumatic, misguided, prepubescent sexual event that can pay for a therapist's summer home later on in one's life. And it was this sexual undercurrent that added to the queasy and unsettling tone of the film. Apart from the cat in the oven invisibility story, Michael also gains the attention of the teacher and the school's social worker through his drawings in his notebooks and what have you. The social worker suspects that something isn't quite right in the Michael household. At one point, she shows him a fairly innocent sketch that's mildly suggestive, and he gets pretty agitated and freaked out, which suggests something's rotten at home. We know that at least one reason why he's freaked out by the image is because late one night he was thirsty and went to get a drink of water and happened to see his parents getting busy in the middle of the living room floor. And I thought that it was the freakiest moment of the entire movie. Randy Quaid is surprisingly excellent in this film. I mostly know him from his work in stuff like Christmas Vacation and Independence Day and maybe Hard Rain, stuff like that. So it was interesting for me to see him play such a different character. He walked the fine line between being awkward but innocuous and being genuinely menacing. Michael has what I would call prey eyes around Quaid throughout the entire film. It just seemed as if Michael was absolutely terrified of Quaid the entire time. Mary Beth Hurt played Michael's mother, and she was good in her own way, and I think my favorite scene with her was when she went to see the school social worker to talk about Michael.
Mrs. Lumley, could you tell me a little something about Michael?
Oh, yes, he's very... He's not much of an eater.
Which I thought was a very insightful scene, not only to the mother-son dynamic, but to the general parent-child dynamic that the movie had going on. Michael is a complete stranger to them, and they don't even seem to realize it. So this isn't the most terrifying or horrifying film out there, but the performances from Quaid and Hurt and the queasy tone that the film has help to elevate it to kind of diamond in the rough status for me. I didn't really care for the kids' performances, to be honest, but it's hard to hate on kids, so I'm not really going to. They weren't cringy, but they weren't excellent. They could have been a little bit better in my head. I could have used a bit more mystery in the film. I thought that the kind of quirk was pretty obvious from the get-go, even though I did know it going in. I thought that it might have worked better if it would have been a slow reveal that the parents do what they do. And they could have played up maybe Michael is insane a little bit more. I thought that could have worked very well. Maybe elevated the film a bit. It's also supposed to be a dark comedy, but I honestly didn't find it all that funny. Like, there's one or two kind of funny parts, but I wouldn't call it a comedy. Nevertheless, something about this film has stuck with me since I first saw it a few years back. And like I said, it just pops into my head every couple weeks. So it did have some staying power, at least for me, and that does count for something. But I'm going to rate this film at a 3.25 out of 5. Those are my thoughts on Parents. You can leave yours in the comments. While you're here, you want to like and subscribe, do the thing. Yeah, great. Thanks for watching me talk about movies for a little bit, and you can tune in next time to see what else I like.